Hi everyone, and welcome to my fall series. If you're new, I would love for you to click that subscribe button. I have some DIY projects that I know you're going to love. I'm going to be repurposing this crate that I made using Dollar Tree signs. I'll have a link to this video in my description box below, as well as in the cards at the top right of your screen, if you would like to see how I made this. It's made with the same Dollar Tree signs all the way around. On the inside, it is held together with some tumbling tower pieces on all of the seams, and the bottom is made out of cardboard. We're going to flip this over and measure the width of the bottom. Mine is 8 1/4 inches, and I know that I want to have a 1/2 inch overhang on each side, so that would be a measurement of 9 1/4 inches. I'm also going to make a mark on one of the short ends at the center in the very bottom slat because I want to drill a hole. I'm using a 3/4 inch drill bit, and I want to drill all the way through that short piece. I'm using a 3/4 inch drill bit because I'm going to be using a 3/4 inch dowel. Once I clean all of that mess up, I'm going to cut my dowel down to 9 1/4 inches, and I'm going to need 3 of these. I'm cutting this using my handheld miter shears. You do have to score this and then turn it a bit, and you're able to cut it all the way through. I have this linked in my Amazon store in my description box below if you guys are interested in that. Once I have all 3 of these cut, I will sand all of the ends to make sure that they are smooth and flat. I'm going to paint one piece, the entire piece, with antique wax, and then I'm going to wipe all that down with a dry paper towel. For the other 2 pieces, I'm only going to paint about 1 inch on each end and wipe the excess off of that as well. This is just going to leave a very faint stain color. So they should be looking something like this, and we're going to let those dry. I'm going to be using some wood slices from Hobby Lobby. You can purchase these in a bag for around $4.50. I would preferably like to have 4 of the same size, but since I didn't, I'm going to use 2 of the same size and 2 sets. We're going to be creating a wagon using this repurposed crate. So the 2 smaller ones will be for the front wheels, and the 2 larger ones we'll use for the back wheels. We're going to take our crate and flip it over to the bottom, and we're going to line up the 2 dowels that we just painted just the ends of. These are the ones we're going to be adding our wood slices to. We want to make sure that we line up our dowels evenly from the front and the back. I'm going to place the 2 larger wood slices on the back side of the wagon and the 2 smaller ones for the front side where I drilled the hole on the short piece. So if you have some flat edges, you want to make sure that you try to use those on the bottom so that when you flip your crate over, it will sit flat. I'm going to hold my wood slice up to the dowel to see how much of the wood slice I want to show on the side of the wagon. Once I know exactly where I want to place that, I'll make a mark using a pencil, and then I'll know exactly where to glue the dowel down. I'm using some Gorilla hot glue, which works very well, but you could also use some wood glue, and that would give you a nice strong hold. I'm going to measure the distance between the edge of the wood slice and the dowel so I will know where to make my mark on the other wood slice. Then I can glue that down in the same way. You want to make sure that you hold your dowel in place until your glue completely cools to make sure that the wood slice doesn't pop off. I'm measuring about 2.5 inches from the short end on each side so that I can make a straight line and I know exactly where to glue my dowel down. For the larger wood slices, I'm going to measure the same distance as the bottom of the smaller wood slices and dowel so that I have the same amount of space when you flip the wagon over. Each of the wood slices will sit flat. You'll do the exact same thing for those 2 wood slices and dowels and attach it to the bottom of your crate. I'll be using one of these wood pieces that you can find at Hobby Lobby. It comes in a roll with some fabric on the back. It's used to wrap around candles. If you can't find those, you could use one of Dollar Tree's wood sticks. They also have some wood pieces at Dollar Tree that perhaps you could use in place of this. I chose this one because the color matches perfectly with the wood slices. I couldn't remove the Velcro from the back, so I'm going to paint that with a coat of antique wax to blend it in and then wipe all of that excess off. On the end of our crate where we drilled the hole, we're going to put that third dowel that we stained the entire dowel. You want it to be a snug fit. I wanted mine to tilt up, so I'm going to push the inside piece down and hold that in place with hot glue. Then take a tumbling tower piece and glue that to hold it in place. Then I'll take a second tumbling tower piece and glue that on top of the dowel as well as the first tumbling tower piece. We want to make sure that this is secure and it doesn't come loose. It should be looking something like this. Now we're going to take that wooden piece that I put the antique wax on the back of. We're going to hot glue it to the end of our dowel and it's going to make a beautiful handle. I want to add a little something to the side of the wagon, so I purchased this package of wood words from Dollar Tree last year, and I'm going to choose the one that says Give Thanks because some of the other ones have lines going through it, and some are just not going to fall in place with the lines that are on our wagon. To give it a more cohesive look, I'm going to give this a coat of the antique wax and let that dry. I'm going to hot glue that to the center of one of the sides of the wagon. And now it is time to decorate this beauty. To use as a filler for the bottom, I'm going to take some packing paper and tuck that down inside. And then I'm going to cover that with some Spanish moss from Dollar Tree. This did take about 1.5 bags. I'm also using some various different pumpkins that I already have on hand, as well as one of Dollar Tree's fall metal buckets. I think I'm going to choose the orange and gray one. I'm going to place some floral foam inside of it and decorate it with some beautiful Dollar Tree sunflowers in a couple of different sizes. Then I can set the bucket in the wagon with these pumpkins, and I think this project turned out absolutely gorgeous. For this project, we're using 2 of Dollar Tree's mini cutting boards. This is the barcode if you need that. We're also using 1 3/4-inch wooden dowel. You'll need a drill bit the same size as your wooden dowel. I'm going to mark the center at the top of the handles for both of my cutting boards and then set this on a piece of wood to protect my work surface. Drill a hole completely through the handle. Now mine went a little off center, so if yours does that, make sure that you line the other one up exactly the same way because you want your dowel to stay straight. I just held it over top of it and made a mark and then drilled my hole. We're going to cut our dowel down to 7 inches, and I'm using my miter box and handheld saw to do this. And then we're going to sand the end of that to make sure that it is flat. We're using one of Dollar Tree's wooden crates. We're going to attach each of the mini cutting boards, one to each end. And to do that, I'm using wood glue as well as a little hot glue. That hot glue will hold it in place until that wood glue sets up. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. We're going to take the dowel, we're going to put it into the hole that we just drilled on one of the mini cutting boards, and you will have to push it a little bit further so that you'll be able to get the other end in the other cutting board. Then I just used a hammer and tapped it down to make sure that they were flat on each end. So it should be looking something like this. I'm going to use some acrylic paint in the color Burnt Umber and paint this entire piece inside and out. I want mine to have a very rustic look, so once that dries, I'm going to use some glue as well as some white acrylic paint. I want to give it a chippy look, and in order to do that, you'll want to apply a generous amount of that regular glue and brush it on until it's smooth. While that glue is still wet, you'll take your white acrylic paint and brush an even layer of that over top of the glue. And then I'm using my hairdryer on the highest setting and slowly going over the paint. And as it dries, it's going to form the most beautiful crackled paint effect. I'm going to continue to do this for the entire piece, including the inside. Once that has dried, I want to decorate mine for fall by adding in some Spanish moss as well as some of these leaves and pumpkin filler from Dollar Tree. I'm also going to add in a little bit of fall pitberry garland, and this piece turned out so beautiful, and I would love to know what you guys think. Let's make a rustic wind chime. We're going to use a Dollar Tree broom handle, remove the end as well as the label. I'm using my miter box and handsaw, and it is a little bit difficult to cut because it is metal. So I'm sawing until I get about halfway through. You definitely want to be careful, possibly even wear some gloves because it is metal and you don't want to cut yourself. Once I got halfway through, I was able to break it in half, and to clean up those ends, I'm using some tin snips. I'm going to do this on each end, and again, just be really, really careful. We're going to cut down 4 of these. I'm cutting them down, one at 13 inches, one at 11 inches, one at 9 inches, and one at 7 inches. Once I have everything cut, I will be taking a metal file and filing each one of these ends to make sure there are not any sharp edges and that nobody's going to get cut. You'll do that for all 4 of these pieces. Then I'll take a couple of pieces of wood because I need to drill holes in the ends and I don't want it to go through my table. To make an indentation, I'm going to use a sharp screw and a hammer. I'm going to measure a 1/2 inch down, then take the screw and tap it with my hammer until I have that indentation. This will keep my drill bit from sliding all over the place so that I'll be able to drill a hole completely through it. Again, I'm going to use that metal file to make sure there aren't any sharp edges. And I'm also going to put that inside of it to make sure that there's no sharp edges on the inside. You'll do that for all 4 of your tubing pieces. If you don't want to use a broom handle, another possibility would be to use the stake off of a Dollar Tree solar light. You could cut those down in various different sizes. The only thing about that is they are plastic and they're not going to give you the same sound as the metal would, but it is just another option. I found these beautiful fall cookie cutters at Dollar Tree, and they have different styles on each one. One of them has a leaf, an acorn, and I believe this may be a rabbit. The other one has a leaf, a pumpkin, and a chicken. I'm not going to use all of these. I'm only going to be using 4 of them. So I chose to use the 2 leaves, the acorn, and the pumpkin. Now you could paint them. I want mine to have a rustic look. So in order to achieve that, I'm going to use some Mod Podge and cinnamon. You want to apply a layer of Mod Podge over the entire cookie cutter and then sprinkle the cinnamon over top of it. I did this on the inside and the outside. And for the edges, I'll just dip that down into the cinnamon that's already on my plate. And you're going to let that set for a couple of hours. Make sure that it is completely dry. And you're going to do that for all 4 of them. Once they are completely dry, you want to go over that to make sure that the cinnamon doesn't come off. So you'll add a thin layer of Mod Podge over that to protect it and let that dry for a couple of hours. I'm also using a bamboo ring from Dollar Tree. They come in 2 different sizes in one package. One is 7.8 inches and the other is 5.9. I'm using the smallest one, and I'm giving this a coat of black chalk paint. Once that dries, because this will be outside, you want to put a sealer on it, and I'm going to use Mod Podge on mine. Of course, you could paint yours whatever color you like. You could use acrylic paint or a wood stain. And now once everything is dry, we're going to put all of our pieces together to make our wind chime. We're using some twine. I'm going to cut a length of the twine, fold it in half, take the loop on the outside of the bamboo ring, and then feed the ends through the loop and pull that tight. That way, all of our string will hang on the outside of the bamboo ring. I'm going to start off by adding one of the tubes first, and I'm going to place one end of the twine through one of the drilled holes and feed it up through the top. Then I'll take the other side and feed it through the opposite hole coming out at the top. And then I can double knot that, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue just for some added security to make sure the knot doesn't come apart. Cut off my excess, and then when you pull it down, the knot will stay on the inside of the tube. I'm going to add all of the twine the same way as I go around, and I'm going to be alternating between the metal tubing and the cookie cutter. For the cookie cutter, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but when I tie the knot, I'm going to hot glue it right underneath the top part of the cookie cutter so that it will stay in place as well. Again, I'm going to alternate the tubing from the largest to the smallest, and I'm spacing each one of these about 2 inches apart. You'll do that until you have all of your pieces onto your bamboo ring. Now I'm going to take a larger piece of twine and loop it through and take the other end, and I'm going to take it to the opposite side, and then I'm going to feed that around the centerpiece and double knot it so that we can create a hanger for our wind chime. I just wrapped it around and double knotted it, and then I'm going to cut one piece off because I want one strand on one side, and I'm going to take that other piece and add it to the other side. It's probably a much better way to do that, but this is the way I'm going to be doing it. And you want to have a nice support as you're going across the center, because I am going to add something to the center. And then once I have that on there, I'll take the 2 ends and double knot them together. Now I'm going to need to do that going in the opposite direction as well, so that we'll end up having 4 strands so that when you hang your wind chime up, it will hang evenly and not kind of go from one side to the other. So it kind of looks something like this. I hope it makes sense. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to cut that excess off. I added a little bit of glue to make sure it kind of doesn't come apart. And then for the center, I'm going to take one of these wood slices from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to drill a hole completely through it and take another piece of twine, feed that through, and then I can double knot it on one side so that the wood slice will stay on the twine, and take the other end and feed it through our center support that we put on our wind chime and attach it to the hanger at the top. So this will kind of hit our metal pieces together as the wind blows and make just a beautiful sound. I hope you enjoyed today's video and found tons of inspiration. If you have a favorite, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.